Morning, everybody. I'm about to get my vote on. We're facing a provincial election here in British Columbia, and in BC we basically have not a two-party system. In fact, in Canada, it's not a two-party system. Normally, I tend to position myself as the Liberal. They're kind of middle of the road, slightly left, kind of like myself. But yeah, there's been a couple issues, and there's a very good reason I'm voting NDP this year. And I want to kind of go through them. So when the Liberals are doing their YouTube searches as to what the heck went wrong, I can pretty much clearly state exactly why these guys screwed up. I'm about I'm 34, so I'm mid 30s. I'm kind of your average workaday age, and all of their campaigns were targeted at one pretty major event, and that was um, do you remember what it was like under the NDP in the 90s? No. No, I don't. I was in high school. I didn't know a thing about economics. I was just barely figuring out women. In fact, it would take me several years to figure that out. So, no, I don't remember what it was like. So your argument's kind of invalid to me. I did some math. In order for this to work, you would have to actually be somewhat invested in the economy, so having probably been part of it for about 5 years, that means you're basically targeting anyone over 45, maybe 40, but more 45 and up, which is great because a trend in voting is old people vote. Retirees tend to come out a lot more than young kids. However, I've noticed that trend has been changing, and as the younger kids get older, you can't just keep marketing to the same group. See, here's the thing about elections. I expect politicians to lie to me. That just goes with the territory. I expect little fibs, little greasing of the wheel. Don't try and lie about stuff you did in the past. Seriously, because we're an empirical society, we'll figure it out. Like a lot of the arguments about the economy. They're saying how horrible it was under the NDP. They did a study recently that showed that no, Liberals and NDP are pretty much exactly the same when it comes to the economy. Um, as anyone knows who's taken any sort of business class, it's easier to keep a client that you already have than to find new clients. And a lot of the job programs that have been coming up for that the Liberals have been promoting have been create new jobs, create these new industries. Meanwhile, the film industry has basically been let to rot because the Liberals were unwilling to do any tax cuts whatsoever. When it comes to a tax cut, I can understand how they would not want to lose the revenue. But if not having the tax cuts is going to adversely affect the industry, making the tax cuts would actually lead to a growth in the industry, which would lead to more money. Sort of a long-term approach. And even in a short term, if productions go up, you will get more revenue. Simple as that. Instead, they have decided to hang out a large group of individuals, especially here in Vancouver, many of whom are my friends, and just kind of let them twist in the wind. Meanwhile, dropping millions of dollars on an event for another film industry that has nothing to do with BC, that doesn't affect us economically at all, just to try and get some ethnic votes. While we're on the subject of the job growth thing, I really took exception to their jobs plan and their anti creative anti-youth, anti-intellectual bent. All of the job growth programs that they were pushing have been industry jobs, um, apprenticeships, stuff like that. And that's very great. But at the same time, they're attacking a lot of the more creative side. Again, something that I'm part of. One of the most well-known and disgusting ads that I've seen on a lot of buses is one that says, "Hipster is not a real job." It's kind of insulting anyone who is pushing those creative boundaries. The hipsters that you're thinking of, they're not just a bunch of people sitting around drinking their PBR and talking about music. These are kids who are pushing the boundaries of music, of art, of computer science. These are the guys who are going to create the startups, who are going to be millionaires when they're 25, and are going to hire people and stimulate your own economy. But the liberals have not had the foresight to see that this is a potential growth area. So screw them on that. The HST was a tax that was brought in. It harmonized our provincial and federal taxes into one tax, which was fine. And it actually reduced the rate by about 2%, which was great. The problem was, when they got elected, they actually had a written agreement that they would not bring it in. They didn't even say they were going to debate it. There was going to be no referendums, no checking with people or anything. They just got elected. They had sort of a majority, and surprise, we have the tax. And the people were like, we don't want this. It's like going to a restaurant and the waiter gives you the wrong meal. It could be a better meal, but it's not what you wanted. And then we end up with this really bitter split down our province of people who wanted the HST and people who didn't want the HST. Now, I don't know enough about it to really pick either side. But I'm insulted that you said you wouldn't do something and then you go right ahead and do it without any debate. I think I can pretty much sum everything up in one very poignant point. So when the Liberals are looking at this at the end of this horrible election, which, you know, they may or may not get shellacked, but I really doubt they're going to win. All I have to say is you guys are out of touch. Really out of touch. And everything you have said has either insulted me or alienated me. And I'm with all of the youth on this. And here's the thing, with this day and age of Twitter and social media and people feeling more socially responsible, you're going to get more of a youth vote. Anyway, I'm going to be getting my vote on here soon. Kirsty Clark, I hope you watch this, and I hope you learn your lesson. Don't ignore the youth. They're a lot smarter than you think. Thanks for watching, everyone. And if you want to see more of my work, head on over to edsrs.com, and don't hesitate to subscribe.